everybody, welcome back to the Enrichment Farm. I'm Heather, and this is the one and the only Ego Tripp. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tripp, where he came from, who his parents are, and of course how he got his name. So I hope you enjoy this video. Here is a picture of Tripp's dad, Mystery, and his mom, Bristol. Right now, Tripp is 16 months old, and he is registered with the American Miniature Horse Association. And right now, he's registered as a bay. However, I have this sneaky suspicion that when it comes time for his permanent registration, that's going to change. All right, so how did I find Tripp? So I had an acquaintance at the barn that my daughter's horse is at, who had a mini horse, and I went with her on a visit one day to a hospice facility, and I just thought it was such a wonderful thing. It was so fulfilling, and everyone was so happy. You know, you go into these situations and you're able to brighten these people's day for just an hour at a time, and it makes everything worthwhile. So I immediately decided that I wanted to get a miniature horse of my own, and that I wanted to also do animal-assisted therapy. So I went on the hunt for a foal, and I came across a website, and there was a picture of little Tripp with his mom Bristol, and he was the cutest little thing I had ever seen in my life. He was absolutely adorable. So I called Ava Farms and I spoke with Miss Valerie. At this point, Tripp may have been a week old. I'm going out on a limb. And when I told Miss Valerie what I was planning on doing with the animal-assisted therapy, she immediately said that Tripp would absolutely be the perfect little horse for that job. And I was thinking to myself, he's like 3 days old. How could you possibly know that he would be perfect for what I'm looking for? And she went on to tell me how smart he is and how much he loves human interaction. And I again thought to myself, okay lady, you're really putting the hard sell on me. There is no way you could know at that young of an age how special or how smart this little horse is. And so we got to Ava Farms. I met Miss Valerie and Mr. Armand for the first time in person, who are the sweetest people I've ever met in my life, by the way. And we went out to the barn, and whenever we walked into the barn, Tripp and his mom and a few of the other mares were out in the pasture, and the first thing that Tripp did whenever he saw people is he made a beeline for the barn. He wanted to know who was here, what was going on, and how many scratches he could get out of us. And so immediately it clicked. Oh my gosh, yes, he would be perfect for this. You know, he really craved that human interaction. He wasn't concerned about being away from his mom or being away from the herd. He wanted to come and check the people out. And so I was hooked the first day I saw him. Again, he was just the cutest little thing ever. And he was so sweet. He would come up to the stall fence and back up to it and, you know, ask for scratches on his behind, which was so cute. And he was just the sweetest little thing ever. And so that was in November, and so I made a couple more trips back to visit him along the way. And one of the things that I mentioned about Fancy in her video is how important it is to, whenever you're looking to get into assistance animals, the breeder is so important. You know, after my first visit, and again we talked a little bit more about what I wanted to do with Tripp, I went back probably a month later, and Miss Valerie had already taught him to heel like a dog, and she already taught him how to give kisses. And I think he was shaking hands too. And so that is so important, that you have somebody who really believes in your mission and what you're doing here, and they can help you along the way. So fast forward, when Tripp was 3 months old, I was able to bring him home. And so my daughter and I drove to Picayune, Mississippi. I folded the back seats up in my F-150 and we put him in there and he rode all the way home. He did not call for his mom one time. He didn't go to the bathroom one time, and that's 2 hours. He literally just sat back there with my daughter, laid his head on her lap, and took a nap most of the way. And so that was a huge relief because I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. So as soon as I got him home, day one, started halter training and leading. That was very important. And he caught on to it very, very quickly, which I was kind of surprised about. Boy. He's doing so good. And then after that, we worked on loading in and out of my truck with the ramp that I had bought. And again, the first time he went right up, he came right down. So we took a little ride around, just made the little block and came back to see how he would do. And of course, he was a pro. Up, 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 all the way, up, all the way, come on. Good boy. Down. Good boy. And then after that, we made sure that he had all of his vaccines and his shots, and I loaded him up and I took him to our local Tractor Supply for the first time just to get him used to going indoors and being around strangers and all of the different things that he's going to encounter going into the human space. And he was absolutely fantastic. After that, it was all she wrote. Tripp came with me everywhere, to the bank, to our insurance office. Everywhere I went, he came along with me. Originally, I had set a goal for myself of 6 months to be able to get him trained and to start going on visits, like practice visits. This was my first time with a miniature horse, or training a miniature horse, or anything associated with any kind of animal assistance therapy. And so I really had no clue how long it would take. But in true Tripp fashion, he catches on to everything so quickly, and he is such a good boy that when I brought him home in March, come April, we were ready to start going on visits. So I put out a message on social media asking for anyone in our area who would allow us to come and do some training. And that's how we met our friends at the Claiborne at Shoe Creek. They're a luxury assisted living facility about 15 minutes from us. And Kara immediately jumped at the opportunity to have us come for a visit. So Tripp started visiting his friends in memory care at the Claiborne when he was 4 months old. And he has kind of grown up there ever since. So we go once a week and he visits with his friends, and we do different activities like kickball and dancing. And he has literally, like I said, grown up there. And of course, because he is so smart and he likes to be scratched very vigorously, he has a special friend there named Miss Lita. And I swear to y'all, whenever we walk in the room, he looks for Miss Lita and he wants to go to her immediately because she gives him the best scratches and she knows exactly where he loves to be scratched. But everybody loves Tripp. And so some of the residents will ask for him on the days when we're not there. One of the residents actually said one time that she had been homesick for him and she was happy that he came back to visit. And so whenever you see things like that really happening, it is just so special. I cannot even describe the feeling that you get from that and how fulfilling it is. Tripp is so comfortable that it's not uncommon for him to lay down and take a nap. All right, so how did he get his name? Well, whenever I went to visit him for the very first time, Miss Valerie let me know that they had been calling him Tripp, but if we wanted to change it, to let them know so they can start calling him by whatever name I wanted. And so I thought about it and I said, you know, Tripp is really cute. It's easy to say. It's just kind of fun. You can come up with all kind of different little fun sayings. Let's go on a trip. You're a trip, I'm a trip, we're a trip. And so I said, no, I kind of like it. Let's keep it. And so she said, okay. And she let me know that it's Tripp with 2 P's and that his mom, whose name is Bristol, and his grandmother is Sarah Palin. And so out comes this adorable little boy from Bristol, and so they decided to call him Tripp. And so he had not had a registered name yet, and so I kind of whirled around in my head of what I wanted to name him on his paperwork. And you know, traditionally speaking, whenever you register a horse, you give them a registered name. You typically take something from the mom, something from the dad, put it together and make what you want. But I just kind of didn't want to go the traditional route because he's not an average or traditional miniature horse. He's very special. And so I kind of thought about it for a while, and one day it just popped into my head, Ego Tripp. I thought it was clever because, you know, he's a teeny tiny little horse, but he's got a big ego. And so that's how Ego Tripp came about. And I will tell you, he lives up to his name.
He's like, look, can we just get in the trailer and go? I'm not amused. Oh, hey. Actually, be quiet. No. What the heck?
This little guy is quite an ego trip. He is not afraid of anything. He's very confident. He thinks he's an 18-hand horse, and he is just in the lead all the time. He wants to be in front. He wants to do what he wants to do. He is an absolute ham for the camera. If you have your phone out and you're trying to take his picture, he will literally walk up to you and take your phone out of your hands. I cannot take pictures or video of Fancy with him around. He gets upset. He wants his picture taken. He absolutely wants all of the attention all the time. He does not want to share his mommy. And so it is all about Tripp all the time. As you can see, he does not respect personal space. Tripp loves attention. He loves people. He loves to be scratched. And so one of the things that is kind of a oopsie on my part is that I desensitized him a little too much. And so whenever we go to visit some of the assisted living facilities, if he is not being scratched as vigorously as he feels that he should, he will leave you and go find someone else. And once he finds someone who has the best scratches, he will turn around, back up, and position himself basically in their lap and show them where he wants to be scratched. And so it's typically his behind. Something else that Tripp really enjoys doing, if you follow us on social media or if you have subscribed to the channel, I actually had a training video on this. He loves to play kickball. And in true Tripp fashion, he caught on to that day one. And so that is his little fun thing to do. And because he is so young, sometimes he gets a little antsy, and it's good to keep his little baby brain occupied. Ball. Good boy. And he loves to do that. That's one of his favorite things. And right now we are also learning some line dancing, which I have a video of that on my TikTok account if you want to see it. Tripp knows his left and right, and he also loves to give kisses. So if he is trying to get what he wants, he will come up and give a very sweet kiss on the cheek. Sometimes he's a little aggressive with it and he doesn't want to stop giving kisses, but I guess there could be worse things. So y'all have a good day, and we will see you again. What do you think, big boy? I hope you enjoyed getting to know more about Tripp, and please do like and subscribe.